Grace and peace to you. This time of year, we're talking about stewardship a lot. And here at Our Father, our stewardship theme is Grace Happens, which is our proclamation that grace is something that we experience in the here and now, day by day, minute by minute of our lives. It's not just some abstract, but rather the givingness of God and the gifts from God are things that we experience now and are experiencing in the midst of this community and in the in and out every day of our lives. And often when we talk about stewardship, I think we jump straight to ideas of giving money to the church or tithing and other stuff like that. But I today want to take us back a little bit to the beginning, which is to say that if we're talking about the grace of God, the free gifts of God, then we have to acknowledge that everything in our lives is a gift from God. Everything in our lives is a gift from God that we're experiencing, which means that everything we have is a gift from God, which means that anytime we're spending money, we're making choices about how we're going to steward or use the resources that God has entrusted to us. And so I'd like to encourage you to think about your budget as a theological document, as something that is stating what you think should happen with the resources that God has given you. Because it's not just 2% or 10% or whatever percent of your money that belongs to God. We've already maintained or established this truth, right? That everything is a gift from God. And so how we're spending all of our resources is a testament to how we think we should be stewarding the things that God has given us. And so take a look at your budget and think about it and say, what does this say about me? What does this say about how I think my resources need to be used? Does it reflect my values? Does it reflect the way that I think God is calling us to live our lives of discipleship? And the same could be true for our calendars, right? If everything we have is a gift from God and everything we are is a gift from God, then how we're spending our time is how we've decided to allocate this one very precious resource. And so look at your calendar. What does your calendar say about you? What are you filling up your calendar with? If it's a theological document that's stating what you think is true about God and about how God calls us to live, is it reflecting your values? Is it reflecting those truths? I think these are helpful practices in thinking about how we can be better stewards of everything that God has given us, not just in October and November every year, but throughout our lives. Because ultimately, this intentionality about stewarding God's gifts is one of the ways that we experience God's grace in our lives more clearly. Generosity is a way that we find the fullness of life, and noting and naming and being intentional about paying attention to the gifts around us and how we're using them and how we're engaging them is a way that they become deeper blessings to us, and we become more aware of the way God is working in and through and around us. And so I'd encourage you to think a little bit about those things today, and remember that you are loved, and God's peace be with you.